Okay, another strong show for TNA as we march toward Against All Odds. And judging by the ratings, which were higher than ECW's ratings this week, suck on that, Vince. A lot of people out there agree with me. I am happy to report one of my main complaints from last month, that the build-up to the pay-per-view was very lackluster, seems to have been rectified. We're 2 weeks in, with several weeks still left to go, and they've already announced several matches for the card, and that's excellent. You know, it's always best when they can do that as early as possible. We now know that the main event is going to be Kurt Angle versus Christian Cage in a rematch for the Heavyweight Championship, and after the match they had it at Final Resolution, how can you not be looking forward to that? I mean, come on. Plus, we're going to have the Dudleys, Jai Divine, against Motor City Machine Guns, Jay Lethal again, this time in a hardcore street fight. If the heels win, the X Division ceases to exist, and if the faces win, they get the X Division title back, and they get to put a weight restriction on the Dudleys. So if the Dudleys want to continue to compete against the X Division guys, they have to drop to under 275 pounds. And I think we all know that's probably not going to happen, right? We're also going to see ODB against Awesome Kong for the Women's Championship. It's a good change up in styles there. With Gale versus Kong, it was strength versus agility. And now it's going to be power moves versus power moves, which for a women's match should be really interesting to see. And also, officially announced on this show, Barbed Wire Massacre 2. The first one was voted Match of the Year by the TNA fans, and now they're bringing it back. I mean, on paper, that is one hell of a card right there. And there's a lot more to come, too. As for Impact, we had some interesting angles on the show. They finally revealed Abyss's dark secret, that being that Father James Mitchell is actually Abyss's biological father. And you know, while this did feel too reminiscent of Undertaker, Kane, and Paul Bearer for my taste, James Mitchell's promo was awesome. You know, anything that gets that guy more mic time is a great thing. And Abyss's reaction to it was great too, and the crowd really responded to it. You know, they got the right reaction out of the crowd. So I guess it did what it needed to do. We also had a confrontation between the Dudleys and the X Division guys, and they hammered out the rest of their stipulations for the match at Against All Odds. And what I liked about this segment was three things, actually. Alex Shelley did most of the talking, first of all, showing how great he can be on the mic. Second of all, he mentioned the tag team titles in the Motor City Machine Guns' future, and that's great. And it makes perfect sense, too, because you know, they already won that tag team gauntlet, so they should be first in the rankings, whatever the rankings mean. And they also have a non-title win over the tag team champs, so tag titles have got to be in their future, which is great, because those guys are awesome. Third, Alex Shelley mentioned that Jay Lethal defeated Kurt Angle to win his X Division title, and given how Jay Lethal has been booked since then, I wouldn't be at all surprised if people had completely forgotten about that. So it was good to remind them. And it was also nice to see that the crowd reacted so well to that being mentioned. I've said several times now that I think the way that Jay Lethal has been booked recently has really damaged his character, and I still believe that. You know, and I gave all my reasons in previous videos, so we don't need to go into that again, but it was really great to see that despite those problems, that dude is still popular as ever. Speaking of super popular people, two other TNA stars worth mentioning, ODB and Tomko. During ODB's match with Angelina Love and her promo after it, you couldn't shut that crowd up. They were chanting her name throughout that whole segment. I mean, it's just amazing how over that lady's gotten in just a couple of months. And Tomko, too. I mean, that crowd was chanting Tomko's name during his match over Eric Young. And Eric Young's as popular as anybody in TNA. I mean, good Lord. It really is something. You know what TNA has done with Tomko in just the last year. I mean, WWE totally missed the boat with that guy, obviously. I mean, up there, he was never anything except Christian's bodyguard, you know, who never said a word. But in TNA, they gave him a chance to show that he could be more than that. You know, they gave him a little mic time, a little character development, and just like that, boom, star in the making. Sometimes that's all it takes. As for what I did not like about the show, the only thing I can really mention is the Shark Boy stuff. It was sort of funny, I guess, but it just came off as so cartoonish. And I know Shark Boy is technically basically a cartoon character, but this stuff was just too silly for me. Having said that, I will take a Shark Boy skit over a Hornswoggle skit any day of the week. You know, at least Shark Boy doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out. So overall, I like this show a lot. Once again, not a whole lot of wrestling on the show, which I'm still not happy about, frankly, but I just can't bring myself to complain about that this week after the main event that they gave us. Christian, AJ, Joe. Great, great, great match. Awesome action. You got good time for a change. This is the kind of main event match that TNA should be putting on every week. And I'm sure some people are going to be complaining about how Samoa Joe got eliminated, but you know, if you think about this for a minute, it actually makes perfect sense. You know, it totally fits with Joe's character right now, how he keeps getting screwed out of title opportunities, and it advances his storyline with Kevin Nash. I mean, Joe gets taken out of the match without having to do the job, so Christian wins, but Joe doesn't lose. I mean, they booked it this way to protect Joe. Because trust me, this storyline is going to end with a Samoa Joe world title reign. That is on the horizon, mark my words. This time it's going to happen. I'm calling that one right now. This time it's going to happen. So I have no problems with how Joe got eliminated. It didn't take away from the match at all. And it's great.